So just a little quick housekeeping before we get anything started. We are doing a Halloween stream at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 11 p.m. UK time. It's going to obviously, going to be Jake, Angie, myself. We are going to play some games. We're going to have some guests, possibly. Generally, like we're all going to dress up. We're all going to, sit around, talk scary stories, spooky stuff.
It's going to be very groovy.
Also, like
very psychedelic, very groovy.
Yes, it might make people randy, baby.
Exactly. Exactly.
That's all we need to say right now. That's all we need to say.
That's all we're teasing. We're also going to be talking about 2020's horror year political events as well. We're going to get around to doing that after we've fried our brains with Among Us. And yes, we will be playing Among Us, but not to convince you to vote for the Democrats. So you can let your guard down.
Yeah, it's actually to convince you to just
chill,
hate each other and be suspect of everything.
Just be sus. Everything's sus. Pete is sus.
Everything is sus.
Jake is sus.
I am sus.
We're all sus. But yeah, this year has been pretty fucking nightmarish. And I don't know, that's part of the reason I love Halloween so much, because it's sort of a celebration of the macabre and the things that frighten us. And I feel like it gives us this sort of safe, fun distance where we can sort of examine and celebrate those things. And speaking of which, Joe Rogan provided a safe distance for us to analyze and watch Alex Jones, who he had on his podcast alongside Tim Dillon. It was the most hilarious 3 hours I've had in recent times. My three dads just, talking it up, smoking cigars. It was wonderful.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, Tim even said himself he looked like a kid in a candy store, which I think I kind of would be as well if I was in his position, just getting the...
I want Alex on our show. That's my new goal.
Oh my God.
We need to make it happen. I feel like that should be our goal for the end of 2021 is to fucking get Alex.
We've got the end of the year, and if we don't by the end of the year, it's a New Year's resolution.
He'll probably think we're leftist Satanists.
Yeah, that's what he said.
He probably will, but I bet he would come on anyways.
He would, and he would yell at us, and it would be so fucking wonderful. He would just scream at us for the whole hour of the episode.
He did that classic thing where he introduced something that was bang on. He was like, because liberal and leftist are different things. And you're like, yes. And he goes, leftists follow the left-hand path, they're Satanists. You're just like, oh, you're so close.
If only it was...
You got the definition wrong, my man.
If only it was that cool. If only, because the thing is, all the stuff that they were complaining about, the censoring, because they talked a lot about social media and censoring and how Silicon Valley is really sort of... they called leftist because they ban people who have different views. Well, all the stuff they were complaining about was liberals, radical liberals, and then the Silicon Valley people who sort of cynically maneuver with that affect. It has nothing to do with the left. The left is about populist sort of economics, and Alex Jones, I feel like he knows that.
The left is when huge corporations own tons of stuff. That's the left.
That's what he thinks the left is, and he also thinks we're Satanists too. Which is...
We're not.
I wish it was that interesting.
I mean, Satan's pretty funny, but beyond that, I'm not that big of a fan.
He thinks that everyone he doesn't like is basically Beelzebub, and we've got flies landing on us, and we all smell like sulfur.
What we should do is capture a bunch of flies for if we ever get Alex Jones on and release them so that they're bound to land on us during the course of the interview.
We should just act out all the tropes, everything he thinks that the left is.
Yes.
We should just fucking act them all out, smear ourselves in shit and have colorful hair and piercings and fucking have aborted fetuses hanging around our necks and
I don't know. I would want to befriend him. I want him to like me.
Me too. He looks like he needs a cuddle.
He's okay. So the reason why I say that is because he seems so desperate for social interaction. When they were talking about doing this Halloween thing, he invited himself on. He's just like, I'll come over here and I'll get hammered with you guys. And Joe Rogan's like, yes, I will get hammered. He goes, and me, right? And he's just like, yeah. It's just like, oh, and he's like, you can pop in. He's like, yeah. He's got his hands up and he's like stoked about it. I felt so bad for Alex Jones, and I've never felt bad for Alex Jones.
No, like he's, you can definitely tell he's going through some stuff, and he kind of opened up a little bit about it in the last 10 minutes, which I'm kind of gutted wasn't earlier in the episode, and kind of he talked more about that, because it's proven that even 2020 has been too much for Alex Jones, and that he like said that,
which is,
you know, for his whole life he's had perfect teeth, but since the, you know, lockdown and stuff, just with everything and just his day job, he's like going through 500 articles a day, like on air, like however long he's on air, like on Infowars.com or whatever.
He's probably on about 16 to 18 hours a day.
That's about what he said on the podcast. So like he was just like, and it's just getting to me. Like it's just too much. Like I used to read the news and think I could see between the lines and like all of these sort of things, and now it's just like everything's just shit and everything's just so much, and I just like I can't take it, and like I feel like I need to retire and like fucking pack it in for a while and all this sort of thing. So if 2020 defeats Alex Jones, you know that it's been a psychologically like fucking year, like crazy fucking year.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It was just a fucking bomb. Like, I'm sorry, but like Alex Jones, out of all the people, like his opinions are insane. Like, I don't think there needs to be a long preface there, but like out of all of the people, I would think that would not be like emotionally and mentally affected by this year. This is like a hell year. But to him, I would think that it wouldn't be that big of a deal because of what he does and how long he does it for and like the kinds of marathons he'll go on. But I guess it's too much for even him.
And not even that. A lot of the shit that he told us was going to happen happened, which is one of the things that they sort of discussed on the podcast, was like so much of what he said, and not all of it, but a lot of what he said has had some shade of truth to it. Which is like, you know, fairly interesting. And when they were having their conversations about deplatforming, he basically was like, fuck these people. Like, I have my own operation. I'm getting just as many views as I would be on any of the mainstream platforms, which just goes to show you that deplatforming doesn't work. And it seems like it's like a really big issue for these guys, because even Tim Dillon was like, yeah, this is bullshit. Like, and I know that Tim Dillon won't admit it, but I bet he's going to vote for Trump. Like, I'm almost 100% convinced that he's going to vote for Trump. But like I think that a lot of what's pushing people towards voting in that direction is because they have this sort of view of the left as this like fucking SJW censor machine of people who want to, you know, create the concept of wrongthink and sort of codify it in society and all of this stuff. And
because visibly that is what is declared the left, and that's what people see as people calling themselves the left, and the actions that they do publicly, that's what they see, and that's what gets reported. Like very little gets reported about worker action, workers' unions, etc., like things that are actually benefiting working people. It's all about these sort of social identity sort of issues that end up dominating what is seen as progress, whilst everyone gets moved over to a fucking gig economy job.
But we are the left. At least we sort of are ideologically inclined towards like the actual sort of workerist, populist left, and we hate the people hate the people that they were ragging on against too. Like, I hate the fact that I'm constantly lumped in with the sort of radical liberal tinge in these people's minds, which kind of makes me feel like it would be unlikely that any of these people would want to talk to us, because as soon as they hear left or communists, they're like, oh, you're one of those people. You're one of the fetus eating fucking adrenochrome freaks that wants to fucking destroy society. And it's like, no, I'm not at all.
I think one of the big problems is that like the word leftist and like the cultural like like the cultural usage of leftist, they're two different things. Like technically leftist means something, but the way that like everyone, including like these fucking people calling themselves leftists, use it is the way that like Stone Toss, like fucking, or like Ben Garrison, or like Alex Jones for that matter, characterizes the left. Like even like the quote unquote leftists, the people calling themselves leftists now are like, yeah, we're fucking baby eaters. Yeah, we're fucking necrophiliacs. Yeah, we fuck our cousins. It's like, well, you're really fucking the cause here, guys.
Not doing us any favors. No. But I think like it's an intended consequence of the Cold War. like to separate the definition and the reality of something, like the Orwellian sort of, word what do they call it?
Like wrong think
And shit, where where the words don't mean the things that they're supposed to anymore.
Yeah.
And I know it's a bit of a tangent, but it's why I agree with the recent EU ruling that you can't call something a cauliflower steak. Because it's the word steak is a cut of meat, and if you start to deteriorate meanings from words and what they mean and the true meanings of things, then we live in a fantasy, and we don't want to live in a fantasy. We want to live in a structured society, don't we? So let's not call things not what they are, and that's kind of what the point is. So I think that's like an intended consequence, of the Cold War and the way that they've tried to show what communists were, what communists are, and what even progress means for normal people now, because it's still all of the sort of that SJW sort of liberal demographic still see it as capitalism is the only thing. There is no alternative. That the only progress is within this fucked up system. So let's make these concessions to try and make things better for a small amount of people in a few countries.
Well, I think that the Tim Dillon, Alex Jones, and Alex Jones episode of Joe Rogan was way more fucking interesting than the AOC fucking stream, which I tuned into for 5 seconds and then tuned the fuck out of, because it was just the most fucking benign, boring exercise of soft power that I've ever seen, and kind of herding the chickens back to the sort of camp of the DNC in that regard, and with the promise of access to influencers who also sort of bend the knee and halt their criticisms of the DNC. And it was just gross and awful and just horrible. And I would much rather sit and listen to the ramblings of Alex Jones than sit through that kind of fucking bullshit. It was really, really weird.
I've had people mad at me just all week because I've been talking about that fucking stream. It doesn't matter if it was AOC's intention or any of the people on its intention. The point is it's a pro DNC, pro voting stream. There's not going to be anybody on that stream that isn't going to advocate for the DNC and advocate for voting. It's somebody was do you really think if somebody had an anti-voting position, they would be kicked off this stream? And it's how fucking naive are you? Yes, they would be kicked off the fucking stream. They wouldn't be let on the stream in the fucking first place. That's so fucking stupid.
I haven't really watched it, but I have played quite a bit of Among Us. I sort of have quite a few regular games of that I play with a few different circles of friends and stuff. And there's not a lot of time to just sort of bollock around and chit chat about just general topics and stuff. You've got to discuss who's been killed, where people were. So, and I know that the whole mechanic of the game is voting, but is that how they're linking it?
Oh
there,
no, she was just stopping everyone. She was just stopping every once in a while to talk about having a voting plan.
Oh right.
I think she's sus. I think that she's the sus one.
She is
I think she's sus. I think the whole thing was sus.
You would eject AOC?
I would eject AOC.
Here's the thing. I don't really give a shit about what is going on inside AOC's head. I don't give a flying fuck personally. But the position that she is in makes it impossible that she is going to be some kind of subversive force. No, I'm sorry. That's not a possibility at this point. And people who think that it is just please stop being so naive about everything.
I've really enjoyed recently watching Jimmy Dore completely fucking tear Bernie to shreds about how he's doing the exact same fucking thing and has no spine and didn't fucking stand up at the point that he should have. And he's been doing a few of these streams where he's just been going off on it about people like AOC and Bernie, how the whole left cause is a completely they wrote that fucking letter or whatever recently saying don't put any more corporatists in your cabinet, Joe Biden. And it's well done.
Well, I mean,
what's a strongly worded fucking letter gonna do? AOC Come on.
Like, obviously, like, the thing that makes me the most annoyed is that, like, they show us how the fuck they feel about us all the time. I mean, one major bragging point for Biden in every single debate has been, I defeated the socialist. I'm the one who defeated the socialist.
Yeah.
I'm totally anti-socialist, like, all this stuff. And then also you have Bernie's, like, 100-day plan, which was what Jimmy Dore was criticizing, because what leverage do people really have to push?
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's no fucking leverage at all.
Not at all.
There's, what are you going to fucking do? Like, the second that the DNC rearranged power, Bernie Sanders lost leverage. That was done. Like, the 3 days before Super Tuesday, Bernie Sanders lost all leverage. And to act as if there is some means to push fucking Joe Biden or his administration or people who work under him in some way left, it's fucking nuts. Like, anybody who's saying that at this point is full of shit. They are either dreaming or they are selling you something. One of the two.
Well, he's also pointed out, like, Bernie said that he hopes to be made Secretary of Labour or whatever, the Minister of Labour or whatever equivalent in the UK.
Cool. Like, what is that going to do, Bernie?
Well, no, that could do something potentially, but also, isn't it something that you could have, like, almost demanded as a, like, cost of your, stepping down and then endorsement of?
I don't think that he'll
Biden?
get it. I guess
Like-
that's kind of why I'm cynical about it.
No, but he won't get it now because he has no leverage. No. But that's the point. He has no leverage now, but he could have made that demand when he, like, had at least a card of, like, I am still running against you, and part of me endorsing you and part of me stepping down is that you would grant me this position. But there's and how, like, everybody is able to make that logic connection looking outside, yet he is still making these sort of claims that he's sort of, like, got these hopes and these plans and stuff. He's like, dude, it's all worth nothing because you used any fucking moniker of, like, power or fucking moment you had and you squandered it. So it's kind of fucked now.
Yeah. They're all just so fucking cocked, and they're all sort of fucking bending the knee to the DNC machine in the hopes that they'll be able to get some access to that pipeline if they gain power. And I mean, one prime example of that within our, like, little internet fucking shitty constituency was ContraPoints' new video on voting, which was basically one giant ad for the fucking Biden campaign. And I found it sort of
The reluctant version, though. It wasn't my first choice,
Yeah.
but we must stand.
Yeah.
I will eat tiles if you do not fucking vote for Joe. What the fuck was
Did
that?
you-
I will eat my kitchen tiles. She literally threatened self-harm and
Oh my
compared
God.
fucking revolution to suicidal ideation.
Oh
and it's like,
God.
eat shit.
Oh dear.
Fucking eat
Oh
shit.
dear
you
God.
Just fucking asshole.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
no.
It's just a fucking asshole move.
Yeah, but I'm not surprised though, because that's the thing. Loads of people were acting brand new, like ContraPoints isn't a radical, and like clutching their pearls and stuff. And it's like, well, she's never ever, like, and it's fine. Like, there's nothing wrong with her not fucking being a.
No, there's.
But it's,
Yeah, exactly.
But I'm surprised that people are surprised because when people show you who they are, believe them. Like, she's never really done much political work other than, like, sort of kind of cultural liberal kind of criticism of fascism, and she does it very well. She's an incredibly talented entertainer in that regard, but it's not like political with a capital P content.
And also, like, going through, like, a bunch of message boards and finding the motives of fascists, it's not, like, useless or anything. It's just not, like, a criticism of the thing that gives us fascism.
Exactly.
Or the thing that, or like a delineation of what can prevent us moving in that direction, which, by the way, like, includes a criticism and a full scale, I guess, mapping out of what neoliberalism is doing to regular people, because that's exactly what puts us on that path. But no, that shit doesn't happen.
It's also interesting how this sort of threat of impending fascism is being used by the liberal left to not just obfuscate criticisms of Biden and the DNC, but also to sort of blunt and neuter the more radical aspects of the left as well. It's always like, shut up.
Yes.
Do you want the fascists to win? Or, the whole, like, sort of chud dunking industrial complex that was created was sort of done in this way of, like, to solidify their mode of like our mode. You creating more lefty influencers is the only antidote to this horrible fascist scourge that's, you know, invading the internet. It's sort of this thing that's sort of being used to push more radical voices to the fringes. And it's going to get worse if there's a fucking Biden presidency at the end of the day. I mean, either way, we're fucked either way. But like, see, liberal triumphalism is another fucking head of the Hydra that one would have to fucking deal with if the vote goes in that direction. And, you know, we just have to be prepared for whatever the fuck happens at the end of the day.
Enjoy the descent, as Tim Dillon would say. Enjoy the descent. We've had a good run.
Well, here's the thing that I just particularly don't like about it. It's not just ContraPoint's video. It's that whole genre of video, which we've seen basically the entire, since Bernie Sanders lost, and all of the people were like, well, we don't have the ability to have a veneer of radicalism while still doing electoralism. So we need to shift over to Biden and figure out some way to sound respectable and also radical at the same time. They've all switched to this. I said it a minute ago, but the Biden wasn't my first choice, but we must stand and vote. We must. And it's just like, no, we don't. Like, if you're going to vote for him, vote for him. Vote your interest. Like, I don't give a flying fuck, like, what people's individual vote is. If it's Trump or if it's Biden, that's not my fucking business, and I don't care. But this whole idea that, like, we're supposed to, like, myself, yourself, like, we're supposed to be, as YouTube content creators who do political content, we're supposed to be telling our audiences what to do, and they're supposed to be listening to us. Like, that's bullshit. Like, I don't know my entire audience's interests. I'm trying to act in the interests of the working class in the content that I make. I'm trying to act in accordance to, like, my own personal upbringing, where I'm coming from, and saying things like that. But I don't give a shit what people vote for. I don't give a shit if people don't vote at all. Like, that's not my fucking business. And I think it's disgusting that, like, what we're supposed to do, and it's very clear that we're supposed to do it, because if you say anything critical of voting or of elections or of anything that is inside the system, you get fucking shouted down for days, if not weeks at a time.
Well, I'm going to take a leaf out of ContraPoint's book, and I'm going to try and freestyle / rewrite my favorite things from The Sound of Music, but then make it relevant to the times. So here goes nothing. Here goes nothing. Okay. COVID and lockdowns and alienated workers, sadness and madness and internet lurkers. Everything's rubbish and everything fails. This is what happens when you're in the
COVID jail.
In COVID jail. Thank you, Jake. When the Trump bites, when the Republicans sting, when I'm feeling sad, I simply remember Joe Biden is running, and then I don't feel so bad. We'll be at brunch in 2 weeks.
Oh my God. Speaking of brunch, that clip I sent you guys.
So did Trump, like, eliminate brunch? Did Trump kill brunch like Obama killed Christmas?
Yes, he actually came in he wrote an executive order that's being debated in the Supreme Court right now, but it'll probably not be overturned because they illegally made a new bad evil dictator in the Supreme Court too. I don't know what the fuck ever happened with that.
He will slap the mimosa out of your fucking liberal hands. Like he'll come to the fucking restaurant and he'll piss all over your crepes and he'll fucking slap the mimosa.
What the fuck is that? Is that a drink with a mint in it? No.
Slap. It's
He
gone.
cancelled brunch.
That a drink with mint in.
I feel like that's his biggest offense.
Is that a sandwich and a pancake at the same time on the same plate? The fuck is your problem?
I feel like those are his biggest offenses: canceling brunch and also getting rid of anti-racist and like critical race theory in your workplace. In fact.
Did you see the clip of him saying, "Suburban women, won't you please like me?"
Yeah, I saw that.
I was like, "What the fuck is that?"
What was that in context.
Why is that in a Trump rally? Like he's become even him. Like we were talking about Alex Jones like being warped in the brain from all this shit. He got COVID and now he's like, suburban women, could you please like me?
Dude, it's like, what? He's got no filter. He's obviously literally just had an aide or someone in his ear like moments before he's gone on stage at a rally where he's obviously trying to rally support and said, okay, the one area that we're like lagging in the demographics is suburban white women. Like, if you can get and that demographic will like secure you the fucking win, Donnie T. So if you can get the suburban white women on your side,
he just doesn't know what to say to them.
I think it's more psychological. I think he just wants like a massage from some Karens. Like, it's been a hard year. He wants them to make him.
He wants that fucking Karen that looks like she's in Dragon Ball Z,
to come
just floating out with energy around her to give him like
key lime pie,
fucking like
to make him key lime pie.
Yeah, like a key lime pie
and like a casserole,
maybe a back rub or some shit.
Why doesn't Karen like me? Our auras are the same.
Oh man,
he just fucking Super Saiyans out, and this Karen like they just fucking like they have brunch.
but like a Republican brunch of like fucking red meat.
Well, Trump married the ultimate Karen though, like Melania.
He did kind of.
But come on, she's not the sort of person that would like call the waiter over if someone's kid was making noise at a restaurant or like some typical Karen like behavior.
I don't know. I
could see she doesn't even celebrate Christmas.
She hates
She's
Christmas,
like that's
though.
super Karen, dude. I don't see like a Karen being a super, warm Christmassy figure.
I just think that she's Slavic and doesn't give a shit. Like, I think she's just like, seen hard times in her life and she just doesn't care about all these like happy fucking red-faced Americans.
To get here.
Yeah, literally. You don't understand.
I do not like Christmas.
I mean, we've all seen
enough of the Christmas.
We've seen Borat 2. We know what the deal is, like.
I haven't watched it.
Oh, dude, you have
need to fucking watch it. It's fucking brilliant. It's hilarious.
It's actually literally as good as Borat 2 could possibly have been. Literally, like, and it's obviously not as good as Borat 1. I'll just say that right there. It's not as good as Borat 1.
that's not possible.
But yeah.
That's why I have avoided it. I've just been really worried about like.
But if we're gonna call Borat, and I would personally call Borat at least like a 9 out of 10 as a comedy film. 21st century comedy film.
Borat was so fucking funny.
I would give Borat 2 subsequent movie film at least probably a 7.8 and 8. Like a 7 somewhere between a 7.5 and an 8. Definitely. I mean, a C to a B, definitely.
If you want to see Rudy Giuliani allegedly pull his cock out, then it's the picture of the end of the scene. He said he was unmicing himself. I'm like, why is your mic in your crotch? And why are you lying down on the bed to take your fucking mic off?
He's an old man. He's got back problems. You gotta give him some slack.
Oh my god!
But subsequent movie film Borat 2, I feel like was sort of definitely more aimed at. Obviously, he had his daughter in the as the like not plot device, but sort of that sounds bad. She was a huge part
basically.
Of the,
I'm gonna. It sounds kind of like the plot
But there needed to be something other than Borat, and it needed to be something else. And him having a daughter, and the dynamic between him and a daughter, with the whole, the sort of portrayal of Kazakhstan as this terribly, backwater sort of place that is beautiful. It's cool. I love that. Actually, recently they've literally just embraced "That's nice" as an official tourism slogan, and have just done like a whole bunch of videos, sort of showcasing all the lovely places in Kazakhstan, and going, "That's nice."
Oh, babe, as soon as fucking COVID is done, we need to take a trip to Kazakhstan, mate. And
my old manager had been there for like a wedding or something. He said it's gorgeous, it's amazing. It's like a huge country. Like it's so big. Like
I just want to dance to Cookie Butchog and and have a good time.
You want to do the chasing of the American?
Yeah. Oh my god. So in the first film, there was the chasing of the Jew, and then in this film they changed it to the chasing of the American because they gave up on anti-Semitism as their national pastime.
They're just like, it's whatever. It's just...
Oh dear. It was interesting. And I mean, Sacha Baron Cohen he's like a lib. But I think he's also kind of critical because I remember in his show, his new show, Who is America, he had this like super rad libby character that would go around to Republicans, like senators and politicians and stuff, and be like the most like on the nose, like caricature of liberals, and be like, oh, my partner is a dolphin and we're in a polyamorous relationship with me and my wife and a dolphin. And they would take it seriously because that they actually think, like a lot of these Republicans, they actually think that left people,
they believe
they
it.
think that we're that insane. And the thing is, there are so many.
It's because we argue about fucking necrophilia and fucking our cousins. That's literally why. Because that shit gets screen capped and disseminated on Facebook, and they go, all right, well, I guess the dolphin shit must be real.
The line was literally like, my wife has taken a porpoise lover. And you just see this like very old school Republican and his wife at dinner, just they're like trying. Literally, they're trying so hard to just not be like, to just be like, be the tolerant Republican and just like talk to these people and whatever. But they're literally like, oh, you could just see the rage exploding out of their like third eye, just like they're holding it together with their own hand, just like face palming, like, oh my god, how do I respond to this? Literally, like, oh yeah, so how did this happen? And
I just think that, but in my opinion, that shows kind of something that I think that liberals and that sort of like lib leftist type person don't want people to see, which is that these people aren't going to outwardly just fucking attack you the second they find out that they disagree with you. Like that's they hate the idea, because that's basically what I would expect, like the most tolerant possible reaction to be. Well, they tolerate it a bunch, because in that I don't like this, but I'm not gonna like, say anything negative.
The wife was literally like, because basically he pulled out like a picture book for children, and he was like, oh, we need to like get children, we need to teach them about pornography or something like that. And he had like this weird picture book for kids that had like really gratuitous nudity in it, and he was like showing them or whatever. And the wife was like holding back the husband, like, now Gerald, we need to be tolerant of different views or whatever, because the husband was like about to lose his shit. And that's the thing, they tolerated a lot because obviously they had agreed to have what they believed was a liberal journalist over for dinner. And they knew that they were probably going to hear some shit that they didn't, but they didn't understand the extent of which he was going to sort of. And they were they were pretty fucking tolerant of that, of him in their home, and sort of treated him well in a way that you wouldn't expect, which I found really funny and interesting.
I just think that that's the thing, though. Like, they want us to believe that those people are just, they're horrible and will automatically just like try to kill you or some shit.
And your porpoise lover too.
Yes, and your porpoise lover.
And in the same show
whom you should be allowed to love.
And in the same show, they managed to literally get a congressman to back up with his bare butt cheeks, yelling, I love America, or I'm gay, or like something, or a combination of the two, or I love pork, or like he had his ham steak with him at one point.
He was basically, Sacha Baron Cohen dressed up as a Mossad agent and was basically saying that he was an anti-terrorist trainer and was training this congressman of how to get rid of Islamic terrorists. And he was like, they're afraid of the gay. So if you show them your butt, if you show them your bum, then they'll run away from you. And he was like doing drills where this guy was basically backing his ass up on him, pretending that he was trying to get rid of terrorists with his ass or whatever. And it was like,
that was it. He was literally got his bare ass out, running backwards, going, America, America.
I need to watch
it's
this.
So funny.
Fuck, that's funny.
He was like, America, we're number one. Get away from me, terrorist. I'm gay, and all of this shit. And it was like, wow. And didn't he get like fired after?
Yeah, he did. He did get fired.
Why wouldn't he get fired for that? That's my question. Why would he not get fired?
Yeah, he resigned immediately after that aired, which was just, but I mean, I think there was a couple of other ones as well where they had gotten some other guys in that Guns episode where they had gotten them to endorse the Kinderguardians program, which was basically instead of giving teachers guns or having security guards at school, that's already too late because they're already in the hall or at the entrance or wherever. So you actually just give the guns straight to the kids and they will protect themselves, which is just where if you take the yeah, like the logic, it distills exactly to
It's not good logic,
there,
but it's the logic.
And so they've literally got a congressman being on there like, yeah, we should be equipping, 2 to 6 year olds
And
with
they made this, like-
highly intelligently and trained 2 to 6 year olds.
He literally said that, and they made this like terrifying, like "Don't hug me, I'm scared" like kindergarten ad campaign where he was there with like, "Hey kids, this is Jimmy the gun, and he's your best friend. If you see a bad man, be sure to shoot him." And I was like, America is a strange and terrifying fucking place. Like the fact that he's able to like get politicians to fucking out all of their like messed up shit is like really fucking crazy to me. But I don't know. I respect him as a comedian. I think he's a funny guy, and I think he has like okay politics, but he's not like, obviously he's still a bit of a lib. Like he still advocates like deplatforming and censorship and shit like that, which they did talk about,
which like is a bit ironic given what he does. He literally does like the thing that like the primary argument against deplatforming is like, you get them to hang themselves, and that's much more effective than censoring them, which is absolutely the fucking truth. Like, you cannot tell me that, like, Rudy Giuliani fucking fiddling with his dick in a fucking... You can't tell me that's not more effective than if you just hid Rudy Giuliani in a fucking room. Like, I promise it's more effective.
no.
I don't know if it's because he's got such he's got a lot of Hollywood backing. He's got a big sort of liberal establishment that really support him in that way, and has done for 20 years now. Ali G, the movie, came out in 2000 or 2001.
Yeah.
So he's
He was anti-Bush then.
yeah, and but. I just feel like he's probably got enough friends in those sort of media circles where they wouldn't try and come after him like that. But it is a shame that...
Well, I mean, Michael Moore was anti-Bush, and got booed at the Oscars, if you remember.
Yeah.
But he still has like a ton of financial backing.
Yeah, that's
But
true.
I don't think Sacha Baron Cohen is in any danger of being deplatformed for what he does, because he doesn't do anything that's specifically sort of against the grain of what's considered acceptable, even though what he does is outrageous, which just shows you how much subversion has been watered down, because he was considered subversive 10 years ago, but now not so much. He's the establishment, and the actual subversive stuff is what gets censored. So I think the reason why he would advocate that position is because I think even on a subconscious level he understands that he wouldn't be in danger of censorship.
Yeah. I would agree, yeah.
And I guess there's a different angle, because everything he does do is from an angle of satire. So there is always an amount of, you can't really call, all the Jew jokes he makes and stuff. He's Jewish. He, like, everything he's doing is a character, is a massive like satire of people that are anti-Semitic. So it's hard to kind of swing that.
And he's good at it too. People understand that it's skewering.
I'm not trying to make
people.
a case for cancelling Sacha Baron Cohen because he advocates for Alex Jones cancelling. I'm not doing that at all. But at the same time, I think in fact, I would say it's a shame that he doesn't understand. He doesn't understand why that's a bad position to take. And that he would go on a Google talk or wherever the fuck he went and kind of, quite publicly advocated for people to be shut off of these sort of social commons of the internet is a bad move.
Yeah. Bad take, Chief.
That ain't it, hun.
Yeah, that ain't it.
That ain't it.
It's interesting to
delete this.
Delete it. Delete your whole fucking account.
Kill yourself.
That's what it eventually means, yes.
It's interesting though, because I feel like Borat was a lot more controversial 10 years ago. It was sort of controversial 10 years ago for sure.
I remember libs calling it racist.
Yeah, and it's funny because he's like a darling to them now. It just shows how these people just their pendulum swings from like back in the
they don't give a shit. Like, racism isn't a real thing to them.
No.
It's just like a thing. Like, it's a thing that if they're doing something I don't like and there's something possibly racial about it, I'm going to call it racist. It doesn't matter if like the point of it is different or the effect of it is different or anything like that. It's literally their own distaste with it. And they don't have a distaste for it anymore. They're like, well, he's proven that he's a liberal, blah, 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 blah.
Exactly. It's a not for me, for thee, but not for me kind of thing. Once you've said all the correct passwords and you've signaled to them, then you can basically get away with whatever the fuck. Well, I don't even think he was getting away with anything because none of what he did was racist. It was funny. It was hilarious.
It wasn't racist at all.
I mean, you say his politics are questionable, but at the same time, most people didn't. I mean, you probably didn't see this film, but I watched The Dictator, and that is, I mean, that is basically just an anti-imperialist film. That is like what. I mean, people are gonna.
That's probably why nobody saw it. They didn't promote it at all.
People are definitely gonna laugh at me, or say like Jake is having a fucking stretch or a leap there, saying that The Dictator is an anti-imperialist film. But like, definitely, there's like fucking speech at the end talking about all the fucking authoritarian and crazy shit that supposedly fucking dictators do versus all the crazy shit that America does under democracy. Like. It was, you know, I think like he definitely showed that he's aware of at least that kind of international point. I still wouldn't regard him as someone that would, you know, advocate, you know, communism or anything like that. But he's at least aware of like, you know, what so-called democracy means today is like totally fucking wrong and bullshit.
Well, be careful with that kind of talk, Jake, because with your beard, you're this close from being put on a no-fly list. With that beard of yours and that nose of yours, like, you know, they're going to put you on a no-fly list and you won't be able to fucking come with me to Kazakhstan as soon as this fucking COVID shit.
Yeah, especially since you're going to be like going to Kazakhstan. Like, they're going to be like,
no, they'll let me go to Kazakhstan. They just won't let me come back.
Are you?
Yeah, maybe.
That's true.
Yeah. What are you doing, guy? Like, what are you coming into our country for?
I'll get to Kazakhstan and there'll be someone from the British embassy there. He's like, I was just sitting here to check your passport on the way in, and we're just going to hold on to this until you leave.
You're the least waspy.
At least you don't. At least it's not going gray. Like I've been going gray for a really long time, and that really hasn't helped me because that conjured the like. I feel like. Especially when I first started having a beard, like it really conjured like, I guess like terrorist for them because like there was gray in it.
I'm actually half Arab.
They thought like
I'm actually half Arab. And my last name is
what
Arab.
I'm saying is like these people like were really racist in these fucking like. What are they called? Like the TSA lines, like seriously very racist because any hint of like an aesthetic that could remind them of like what the popular image of what like a quote unquote terrorist was at the time. Like that was like the fact that I had some gray on my beard, I'm pretty sure is part of why I got stopped a lot way back then.
As soon as they see my last name, I always get shit at airports because I'm half Arab. My father's Arab and my last name is Arab as well. And like, as soon as they see my last name, they're like, oh my God, what?
Speaks? I don't think that's
no,
an
actually,
Arab name.
Speaks is, it's actually, it's from a very specific region in Saudi Arabia. The Speaks family, they were sultans back in the day. Big sultans. I'm actually Princess Jasmine, and my dad is
big sultan energy. BSE.
I'm actually Princess Jasmine, and my dad is the Sultan of Speaksville, and Jake is.
You saw Jake stealing some bread, and you're just like, I gotta have him.
He was the street urchin that came, and I was like, Daddy, no, I'm not going to be the princess anymore. I'm moving to England.
I know what you mean, though, Peter. Like, I feel like I've got one of those ambiguous kind of looks about me where just wherever I go, they start thinking that I'm from there. So, like, if I'm in Italy, it's, hey, baba da boopy, the gabagoo. And then, as soon as I'm in fucking... As soon as I'm in fucking Spain, it's fucking tapas. They love it. They're giving it all me like the fucking Spanish. As soon as I'm fucking in Istanbul, they're trying to like talk to me in Turkish and shit. And then I turn around and I'm like, sorry, mate. got the wrong guy.
The thing is, despite your ambiguity,
you want to talk about football?
Despite Jake's ambiguity, he's the waspiest wasp. you will ever meet in your life. Like the other day we went on a walk and we went past like a fucking Church of England church that was like fucking hosting a Sunday service, and he was like, yes, Angie, we should start going there and then, you know, have a spot of fucking Sunday roast at the pub afterwards and then go home and watch the cricket. And I was like, you're not gonna turn me into your fucking wasp trad wife. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? We're not going to fucking Church of England and then having Sunday roast. Like, Jesus Christ.
Coronavirus has just made me want to get in touch with God and get in touch with my community. And there's certain things about the traditional way of life, you know, Angie, that bring you closer in with your township and with your fellow neighbours and stuff, you know.
Jesus. Like,
Maybe if we could break bread with our crazy fucking crackhead Scatty John next door, we could fucking, you know, come to some sort of agreement.
Oh my God. Oh God.
If we saw him at church, we could talk to the fucking
just have
priest.
when you hear the music, maybe he's a DJ for the church. He's like doing the music for the
Praising
church.
Jeebus. No, it's Scotty because Jake's getting more waspy as he gets older, and it's only going to get worse.
They're all lies. Talking about DJs, though, I did see something pretty jokes that is going to be happening on Halloween in London. Apparently, people are organising a play grave.
Really?
Yes.
Where?
A ginormous, illegal, corona-spreading play grave.
Oh, why aren't
Because,
we going? Why aren't we going?
why aren't we going?
At home.
Why aren't we going?
Yeah, why?
Let me think about that for all
I don't
of
know.
half a fucking second.
There'll be social distancing.
Yeah, there'll be...
People will be...
Come on, love.
I don't know. Did you see that Smash Mouth concert?
No.
I'm sorry, they're not careful. Like people who are wanting to do this shit are not.
No.
They're not social
No,
distancing.
they're not.
It's in Croydon.
And I know that I understand that raves are very like different fundamentally from a Smash Mouth concert, but I'm willing to bet that the underlying motive is almost the same
underlying
thing, which is like,
energy-
I'm so fucking sick of this fucking pandemic.
The underlying energy would be
I'll
very
even
similar.
go to see Smash Mouth.
People like licking each other's faces and shit because they've just not seen another human being in months. Like,
No.
Yes, exactly. They're just like all fucking in the mud, which the mud is literally half COVID.
The mud's half COVID, the cocaine's half COVID. You know, everything's...
They're cutting it with COVID.
It's just...
yeah. I feel like this whole thing is like eating the last half of my 20s. Like I won't have an excuse to fucking be off my tits on ketamine when I'm like 35 and I'm a mom. Jesus.
This, okay? I love you, Angie. You're the love of my life, yeah? But this attitude, yeah?
Hell of a preface.
This attitude is exactly everything that's wrong with our fucking generation.
Oh my God.
Okay? I'm just gonna say that right out, okay? Like, what kind of fucking entitlement? Like, my fucking great granddad had to go to fucking war.
Oh, fuck off with that.
We're not under
This is the
bombs.
waspy shit she's talking about.
This is waspy shit. But I'm sorry, like people have had to give up their youth
so this
for far more like, you know, deadly situations over the last 100 years. And I think being able to lock myself in my house and get to play some fucking video games and like keep fucking working, which I'm very lucky to do. A lot of people aren't in that fucking situation. But like, do you know what I mean? Like there are more deadly fucking things that we could all be experiencing right now than this fucking, basically a really fucking horrible cold that can kill you. Like,
All I heard was my granddad was in the trenches, mate.
oh my God.
You fucking entitled millennial. Fuck off.
And that is exactly what's wrong with our
Are
generation.
you saying, Jake, that the years start coming and they don't stop coming?
That's exactly what I'm fucking saying, Peter. That is exactly what I'm saying. And if
It didn't.
and if you don't respect them years that have come, then, you know, it's all going to go to shit. And I feel like that our generation lacks that big time. Like, we don't have the fucking entitlement to be like, oh, this is you've already been to university. You've had all your fucking big moments of your fucking youth.
Yeah.
You're easing into your fucking 30s. Let's be realistic about this. You've been to...
No, look, yeah. Look, you know what I'm pissed about is the fact that when I was in my early 20s and shit, I was poor as fuck. So even though I was like going out and doing stuff, I was like scabbing like fucking drugs off of like sketchy dudes. I couldn't afford to get as drunk as I wanted to, so I'd have to pre-drink at home. Now I actually am I'm in my mid 20s. I've got like a little bit of extra money to spend, and I could like legitimately afford to have a much better time than I did in my fucking early 20s. And like now I'm stuck in the house like listening to you talk about us going to Church of England services and going to the fucking pub for a Sunday roast. Like fuck that shit. Fuck that.
Look, mate, I think there's just an amount of, I do feel a little bit sorry for, people that have had like creative projects that have been years in the making, that this was the year that it was supposed to, like films that have been like 5 years in the making, that this was supposed to be the year of South by Southwest.
What about the Zoomer kids who were at uni?
Yeah, and the people that have had their uni experiences. I mean, uni was already a bit of a joke, and you're a bit of a mug if you kind of signed up for that fucking deal anyway at this point in time. Everyone sort of knows that it's a bit of a fucking scam now. So I think, but I've got less sympathy for those ones. But people leaving high school, people not having their prom, people not like having those actually important fucking memories. Like I definitely feel sorry for those people. But at the end of the day, are you getting conscripted into a war? No. Don't complain so much.
Oh my god, you're so British. You're so fucking British.
It's a cool place. It's a cool place, and they say it gets colder. You're bundled up now. Wait till you get older.
Oh my god. Oh dear. No, I don't know.
My world's on fire. How about yours? That's the way I like it, and I'll never
Oh
get
my
bored.
god. Stop.
Like, I'm just saying, like, if you really want to go out, Smash Mouth is the way to go. I fucking got COVID at Smash Mouth, and I died from it.
Oh no. I'd rather die knowing that I had like the time of my life, like fucking
At a Smash Mouth concert.
ill. At a fucking
I saw such a perfect meme the other day that was literally like a really beautiful like oil painting of a blockbuster late at night, with people coming in and out of it with their little bags of movies and snacks and all the stuff. And it just had this caption above it of like, the most important and memorable nights of your life you didn't even realize were that.
Oh yeah, it's true.
So like, you got to look at...
Yeah, that's fucking sad.
It is sad, but that is super...
It's really sad.
There's
Like,
super
deeply...
vaporwave vibes. But... at the same time, it's super fucking true, and like we can't look. I don't look at this as someone in my mid 20s or whatever as like the end of my youth, that the next however many years are going to be dealing with coronavirus. As they say, it is what it is.
Stop saying
We just gotta fucking get on with it.
Well, I want to say, like, I don't just think it's sad because, like, people left it by the wayside. I think it's sad because thinking about where we are now, like, to even go into a Blockbuster video and, like, look around at a physical item that you're going to take home with other people around you, and, like, people having conversations, and, like, you go up and you stand in a fucking line. You might buy snacks and shit. And it's just like... there is nothing, like, we are not doing that anymore.
No.
And it wasn't COVID that killed that.
It was
wasn't
neoliberalism
COVID
that did.
But neoliberalism. And since COVID, it's gotten worse. Like, we don't even have the fucking movie theaters now.
That was one of the things that Alex Jones said that I sort of agreed with. Obviously, he came to a really stupid conclusion about like the Illuminati, deep state, blah, blah, blah.
Well, what's
but
new?
he was talking about how this COVID thing is sort of a utopia for the liberals because they are sort of inherently anti-human. And he wouldn't say mouth.
Well, we've been saying that shit. Like, that's been a fucking point we've been saying on here. This is the neoliberal utopia. COVID.
He said he was sort of hinted at this, but in his own sort of weird way, that this is sort of an anti-human movement that wants to sort of relish in this disaster and make it a perpetual disaster, so that the post-industrial kind of norms can set in. Now that we're in this sort of post-industrial phase, the new phase of neoliberalism is this sort of atomization, and that scares me. That is my Halloween fright. That's my Halloween fright.
He's not wrong.
He said there was like, interesting because he did actually pull up a Rockefeller document from 2010, which pretty much did and was talking about years in the future like it was a given. Like they were from the future and they were talking about history. Like this is what's going to happen or this is to be expected. And all of these things. And basically a bunch of it was fucking bang on.
We live in a planned economy that looks like a market.
And a part of this pandemic and all of the sort of control and stuff was part of that. So there is, you know, it is kind of fucking weird and suspicious in that way. But also what he was talking about is the fact that this is just the new fucking terrorism. This is the new way to be able to get you to be okay with giving away more of your rights and being able to control the populace in more ways. Yeah. Because they're afraid of an uprising and all of this kind of thing. And that's part of why it's an anti-humanist kind of thing, is because they want to kill off an amount of the working class so that they can still keep power and control, but not have to deal with the potential fucking uprising. And that's why they want to make all these robots and stuff to take everyone's jobs and shit, which is pretty interesting. Like, it was funny on that episode when they were talking about autonomous cars, and they were saying you think it's about mortality rates? You think the government wants to save your mortality rates? Like all the fucked up shit that they do with everything, and it's for the good of everyone. Like, of course it's not. It's not just for that. It's so that they know where everyone's going. Yeah. And they know who's where.
I'm going to try and do the Alex Jones voice. It's the Chinese. They're monitoring our cars. They're making our kids play on TikTok so that they can get all of our information. That was terrible.
Well, see, but the thing about the autonomous cars is that they're there so they can track you wherever you go.
That's the thing, is a lot of
the autonomous cars, not only can they do that, once they get the social credit system going, they can figure out whether you're a good person or bad person. If you end up on the wrong side of the law, perhaps you may just get into a car accident. Who knows?
Yeah, oh, whoa. I mean, that's the thing, is he's not. The thing is, a lot of...
I just made that shit up right now.
That's the thing. You should just be the new Alex Jones if he retires. You should just fucking put that voice on perpetually and just fucking take over InfoWars. But yeah, that's the thing. The major thing I took from their interview with Joe Rogan was that they are just as concerned about things like surveillance capitalism as we are. They're also concerned about the authoritarian stint that liberalism is taking as we are. And even though they articulate it in a weird way, the same primary concerns are still there. And also, Alex Jones is fucking funny as hell. Like, he's an entertaining fucking person.
He is
Same thing with Tim
hilarious.
Dillon. Tim Dillon is also fucking funny as hell. And Joe Rogan was also a very decent, he's a good podcast
Joe
host.
and Tim are not quite Alex Jones,
No, nobody's
Alex
Jones.
Alex Jones has got some really insane worldview shit going on.
No one is Alex Jones. Right?
Tim
he's in a class of his own.
Tim brought up a joke that he made when he went on to InfoWars, which was, I love it when they're always fact checking me. Like, Snopes will write a whole article that says, actually, Hillary Clinton is not an Oompa Loompa. And it's just the fucking most dumb shit. But
I've got this fact check here about what I said about Hillary Clinton and flies. Apparently that didn't happen. Apparently the flies aren't landing on her. Every time she enters a room,
there was
it doesn't smell like sulfur according to the facts.
But there was almost a materialist sort of point that they were making, or were almost getting to, about social media, and it was sort of Joe sort of mentioned basically how not only that the social media should be under the First Amendment in America, but how also it should be a utility. And if you think about utilities,
absolutely,
who owns utilities?
Municipalities.
It's not. I don't pay Nestle for my water, right? Like, I pay Thames Water.
Not yet.
Not yet. Exactly that. Not fucking yet. Not until they've tapped into the reserves on the moon and Mars. But fucking but that's the point, right? The utilities are something that are kind of definitely more whatever. It makes way more sense for those things to be controlled by the state, and I think more people are happier in those sorts of senses. And I think if you were able to kind of flick society's brain into sort of thinking about social media as a utility and more And especially like the internet as well. The internet should be seen as this. It is a fucking utility. It is a utility bill.
It's a divided up fucking
not,
capitalist goddamn thing. It's a fucking
it's
nightmare.
Still not seen
obviously.
as this integral thing of human life yet. Even though it's like it's all. I mean, have you tried getting a job without the internet?
Everything runs on it.
Like
exactly, everything fucking runs on it now. Like. You have to have some kind of internet experience to be a fucking janitor.
I mean, I'm definitely under the assumption that surveillance capitalism is specifically what's going to be pushing all of these sort of libertarian centrist types to the left, because they are always like the free market, the free market, the free market. But then as soon as they start seeing that the ways that the free market operates and how it can censor, they start basically talking about how maybe we shouldn't give corporations this much power over things that are basic necessities to our lives. And it's like, hey, you just arrived at socialism. Well done. Here's a badge.
We just got to intercept you before you get to the magical thinking.
Yeah, exactly.
What's frustrating about it is that this was one of the things that Jeremy Corbyn made as one of his massive things on his manifesto for the Labour
100%.
And everyone laughed at him. Everyone said it was fucking stupid, and how could you do that? And how would you just repossess all of the cable and blah 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 from BT, blah 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 blah. And meanwhile, like literally everyone I know is obviously fucking working from home at the moment. Everyone's fucking complaining about the varying fucking internet quality. Which provider do you have? Which is the best? Because I can't get fucking this area is shit for this provider and this one's good for this one. Wouldn't it be great if the government or the whole nation could be guaranteed a level of internet connection? Mm-hmm. That was essentially what the fucking point was. Mm-hmm. And at that point, everybody just went, I'd rather pay BT, thank you. It's just like, well, fuck me, dude.
There's large swaths of Appalachia that have dial-up internet, or the phone service is so bad it cannot even support that. Like that is a fucking nightmare as far as I'm concerned. There's no excuse for a quote unquote wealthy, developed country like the United States of America to have large swaths of itself like denying it. Like it's denying people an essential service in today's world. Like you're holding that area of the country back.
Well, there have been many, many horrors in 2020, a lot of horrors. And like I said at the beginning, Halloween is a time to sort of gleefully examine the things that terrify us from a sort of safe and comedic distance. And also kind of mourn the things that are lost and also reap the harvest that we've sown this year too. So I hope that you all have a wonderful...
Oh no, I just made an oof regarding the harvest that we've planted this year.
Why?
This society has planted seeds that I'm worried about very much for the next few years.
The good harvest, the Animal Crossing harvest, you know, like the nice harvest.
the virtual
harvest that we planted on our Animal Crossing islands and in Stardew Valley too. Because, you know, I hope you all have a wonderful Halloween season. Be sure to check out our Low Society live.
Hello Society,
much better.
There. I fucking did
much it. Much better. Hello Society. Make sure you check out our Low Society live podcast that we're going to be doing over on our YouTube channel. We're going to be having a fun time, groovy, psychedelic, gaming, politics, all of that shit. And if you want to see our beautiful faces, then come join us this Halloween. At what time, Peter?
7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 11 p.m. UK time.
Also, if you got a few extra dollars, chuck them to us on Patreon. We got big ambitions. We're hungry little creatures. We need your support. We love you, and we shall talk to you later. Goodbye.
Bye.